This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro Insight for the month of November 2024. We are reaching a milestone, and it will not be subtle when it arrives. It comes midway through November, which has uncommonly starkly defined before and after periods. The before part, the first half of the month, sees long-standing issues intensifying while we scramble to put them to rest, or at least into new form, before a cosmic alarm clock goes off. When it does go off, there's no snooze button. Instead, the after part starts with a pervasive feeling of impending, slow-rolling consequences, then ushers in a lateral and sometimes bottom-up experience of power that will be with us for nearly 20 years. Throughout it all, daily life goes on with more optimism, laughter, playfulness, and energy than the profoundness of this milestone might suggest. As the mid-month switchover approaches, though, an undercurrent of seriousness slips in. Long-term security becomes more than a blip on the radar, and the durable, the reliable, and the bankable rise in value. The dividing line between before and after comes from two events a few days apart: Saturn stationing direct and Pluto leaving Capricorn for our lifetimes and entering Aquarius until 2044. The first event is like an ocean liner turning around before moving ahead on its cruise. The shift, which happens November 15th, changes what the wheelhouse is facing, from what was behind the ship to what lies ahead. Saturn has been at the degree of its direct station since early October, as if bearing down and down and down on issues of order, structure, law, accountability, and just plain adulting. As of the 15th, Saturn is moving those issues forward and, most importantly, toward the second square containing indulgent, expansive Jupiter coming on December 24th. The second event delivers us through a doorway where we've been lingering since Pluto first dipped into Aquarius in late March 2023. Our personal and collective experience of power is now evolving, with technology, networks, and community groups playing greater roles. One aspect of the shift has an immediate impact on life in the everyday. With this, Pluto changes from being the planet of latest degree, the last influence that each planet contacts before changing signs, to the planet of earliest degree, acting as a cosmic bouncer that each planet must encounter when entering a sign. In the first half of the month, those contacts result in revelations and baggage dropping. After he moves to zero Aquarius, they midwife intensified, streamlined focus. As for that life in the everyday, the month starts with immersion in power and secrets gestating in the waters of the Scorpio new moon November 1st. The emergence of growth could be slow-going, extended by tension between the sign's modern and traditional rulers, Mars and Pluto, which becomes exact November 3rd. At the same time, power and secrets are permeating our information flow, content, and processes. Turning ideas into action comes naturally when Mercury trines Mars, ruler of our drive. Watch for tells, reveals, and people being amenable to deep exchanges when Mercury sextiles Pluto November 2nd. Their last link from these signs in our lifetimes. Have a question about the last 16 years? Ask it now. And then Mercury heads into high-flying, philosophical, optimistic, don't fence me in Sagittarius, where he'll remain for the rest of the year and then some. Our impulses, motivations, and drives soon turn high energy as well when Mars enters Leo November 3rd. Some of the energy of both will turn inward soon enough, though. Within weeks, each of these planets turns retrograde in their new signs. In Leo, Mars encourages playfulness and self-expression, grand gestures and grandstanding, and focusing on me, 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 me. His presence here could inspire a more childlike experience of the holidays this season. Some of the energy of both Mercury and Mars will become inward soon enough, though. Within weeks, each of these planets turns retrograde in their new signs. But first, before he enters Leo, Mars has one final meeting with Pluto, perfecting the opposition from Cancer that has been frustrating and aggravating us since the October 17th Aries full moon. With the gods of war and death at a standoff, watch for issues of anger and power or powerlessness, which may intensify without resolution or lead to strikes that may not actually hit. Take care. Family institutions and dynamics are especially fertile ground for the tension. Desires for indulgence and attention could play into skirmishes with Venus simultaneously pressuring Jupiter for more. Confidence and certainty settle in when the Sun trines Saturn November 4th. The energetic anchor maintains your stability when desires and relationships require sudden tweaks and then threaten to mushroom into romance novel or other ungrounding territory. From Venus in conjunct Uranus November 7th and square Neptune November 9th. Something's got to give. Maybe misplaced expectations, being unnervingly honest about a relationship. When Venus semisextiles Pluto November 11th, drops her bent for adventure and settles into Capricorn. Here she is in Santa baby mode, looking for value that will stand the test of time, preferably with funding. Thoughts and conversations grow serious with Mercury square to Saturn November 12th, setting up roadblocks, constraining ideas, demanding taking responsibility for our communications. Saturn is now rumbling into the turnaround, so the cautions and impediments could linger for a while. Saturn's direct station on the 15th has some noisy accompaniment since it coincides with the Taurus full moon. That's conjunct quick change artist Uranus, breaking the hold of outmoded attachments, and also linking to his other outer planet collaborators, dreamy, idealistic, and romantic Neptune, and Pluto in the last gasps of plowing through Capricornian institutions and foundations. We're processing and releasing the personal impact of what Uranus has been destabilizing since summer, and what these three have been escalating for us since the beginning of September. As the full moon wanes, the Sun pulls away to oppose Uranus, heightening desires to break away, but not quite making that possible. And then, trine Neptune, flooding us with compassion, for ourselves maybe, and a desire to escape our reality, November 16th through 19th. And then, Pluto crosses the threshold to Aquarius for well and good. The Sun enters high-flying, philosophical, optimistic, don't fence me in Sagittarius, and the two of them meet in their first sextile in these signs for our lives, November 19th through 21st. Focus. How do you want to redefine your role in your friend group and community? How are you stepping into power? What would you like to cut away as the next 2 decades launch? Another opportunity to steady and stabilize us dangles before you November 22nd when Venus sextiles Saturn. Commitment, could be in the air. Then begins the final Mercury retrograde of the year on November 25th, lasting until December 15th and traveling from 22 to 6 degrees Sagittarius. Traveling is a pertinent word, since Sagittarius rules long-distance travel, and this retrograde overlaps with Thanksgiving and a major travel weekend in the U.S., threatening widespread reenactment of the Steve Martin, John Candy film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. On a positive note, second chances and do-overs awake if you've been slapdash or mouthed off or run from a situation or pulled a Patrick Swayze Roadhouse My Way or the Highway stunt. A Mercury retrograde is always a beneficial time to revisit unfinished business. Probably not advisable to launch anything new just yet. And by all means, discuss politics or religion over Thanksgiving dinner at your peril. Misunderstandings are likely. More in my Mercury retrograde guide at Om Times. The early days of this retrograde have you stretching your indulgence gene and hankering for more, whatever that means to you. Thank Venus in conjunct Jupiter. As the month rolls out, a trine from the Sun to Mars has us all testing new arrangements, even new technology, and flexing our newly empowered muscles. Look back at the beginning of the month, and you may hardly recognize your world or yourself. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. Visit my site, empowermentunlimited.net, to sign up for my mailing list, listen to my weekly podcasts, and book a session with me. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and I'm really grateful to the people who support my work there. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio and TV on the first and third Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern. I also host lively conversation on Facebook on the page Empowerment Unlimited and in the group The Astro Insight Lounge. I post on Instagram and Threads at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian channel.